So this is quite literally the second take because the first one, there's an electrical storm outside and the power went out. I posted an Instagram about it. I posted a video about it. Let's start all over. Hope I don't run over Bruno down here. Move, fat ass. Talking about big old dog. He's down here right now. Let's try this again. More cohesively. I got a different setup in like 2 seconds if you haven't noticed. So let's begin. You hear it one more time. You hear it at first. Nope. Third time's the charm. You hear it first as a faint cry by the river, and you freeze. It's a woman weeping for the children she can never get back. If you grew up in a Hispanic household, you know this story. It's meant to terrify you. But what if I told you the story of La Llorona isn't just about a ghost? It's a lesson, a warning about a woman who dared to step outside her expected role. Hispanic folklore is filled with these hidden rules, secretly wiring our fears to protect community values. These aren't just spooky stories for kids, they're cultural programming, and today we're decoding them. Dude, can you stop chewing on that? It's hard to tell a scary story when all you hear is, give me that. Get it out of your mouth. Why are you chewing on cardboard? Yeah, hippopotamus. Let's get back to it. It's kind of hard to tell a story with that. Let's just fix that. I marked that good. Every culture has rules, spoken and unspoken, that tell us how to live. But how do you make sure those rules stick, generation after generation? You could write them in law books, sure. Or you could do something much older and way more effective. You turn the rules into monsters. In Hispanic culture, these stories are a powerful form of social programming, and our most famous monsters are the ones enforcing the most important rules. Let's start off with the queen of them all, La Llorona, the weeping woman. We all know the gist of the tale. A beautiful woman betrayed by a lover who, in a moment of all-consuming grief, drowned her own children. Now her spirit is cursed to wander forever, weeping and searching for them. Parents have told this story for a very practical reason: to keep their kids away from dangerous rivers and to make sure they come inside when called. Don't wander off or La Llorona will get you. It's a supernatural kick in the pants to listen to your parents. But the story is so much deeper than a simple boogeyman. It's not just a warning for children. It's a cautionary tale for women in many versions. It's a cautionary tale for women. In many versions, the woman's downfall begins with her passion or her focus on her own desires, qualities seen as dangerous in the patriarchal societies where this legend thrives. Her story is a brutal lesson about the consequences for a woman who steps outside the sacred bounds of motherhood. The rule is clear: a woman's place is defined by her devotion to her family. To betray that role is to become a monster. The story of La Llorona subtly reinforces these gender roles, making her more than just a ghost. She's invisible. She's an invisible enforcer of cultural norms. Then there's the creature that haunted our closets and hid under our beds, El Cucuy or El Coco. Known across Latin America and Spain, El Cucuy is the ultimate boogeyman. Unlike La Llorona, he's vague. He could be a shadow, a hairy beast, or some shapeless thing that goes bump in the night. That's what makes him scary. He is whatever your deepest fear looks like. His job, however, is crystal clear: make kids behave. Pórtate bien o te va a llevar el cucuy. Behave or el cucuy will take you. It's a phrase that has echoed through countless households. This creature is parental authority given monstrous form. He's the reason you didn't talk back, the reason you went to bed on time, and the reason you didn't wander off. The story transforms an abstract command of be good into a tangible, terrifying threat. El Cucuy is a tool of discipline, passed down by word of mouth, that uses fear to do its work. He may be the monster in the dark corner of the room, but the rules he enforces are meant to keep us safe in the bright light of the day. So where did these stories and their rules come from? They didn't just pop up out of nowhere. They're cultural fossils born from the dramatic, often traumatic, collision of worlds. To really get why these legends have such a grip on us, we have to look back to when Spanish and indigenous cultures first collided. The process is called syncretism. I know that word, but I just can't pronounce it. the blending of different beliefs into something entirely new. And it's the key to our folklore. When Spanish conquistadors arrived in the Americas, they brought more than soldiers and ships. They brought a new god and a new moral code. Their goal was conversation, and it was often brutal. That's wrong. Their goal was conversion, and it was often brutal. But you can't just erase thousands of years of belief. Instead, the old gods and the new saints started to merge. Take La Llorona. While the story we know today is often set in the colonial era, many scholars believe her roots dig much deeper into the Aztec pantheon. They point out her striking resemblance to Aztec deities like Oh, Xiaocuatl, or the Snake Woman. She was a powerful goddess tied to motherhood and fertility, but she was also said to wander the night, weeping and wailing as a grim omen of war and disaster. This pre-existing belief in a weeping divine female figure created the perfect soil for the story of La Llorona to take root. The Spanish narrative, with its Catholic ideas of sin and eternal punishment, was then layered right on top of this indigenous foundation. For some, her story is a morality tale about a sinful woman, but for indigenous people, her eternal weeping may have symbolized the collective grief of conquest, the loss of their children, their culture, and the world. In some interpretations, La Llorona is even linked with La Malinche, the indigenous woman who served as a translator for Hernan Cortes, making her cry a symbol of betrayal and complex sorrow. This blending is everywhere. The Day of the Dead combines ancient Aztec rituals for honoring ancestors with the Catholic traditions of All Saints' Day. The Virgin of Guadalupe, Mexico's patron saint, is said to have appeared on the very hill that was a sacred site for the Aztec mother goddess Tonantzin. It wasn't about replacement, but fusion. This allowed indigenous people to keep parts of their spirituality alive under the cover of the new religion, creating a culture that was uniquely its own. Our folklore works the same way. The monsters that scare us are so powerful because they carry the weight of both worlds. Born from the pain of conquest and the resilience of a culture that refused to let its oldest stories die. These stories aren't just relics, they are alive. They live in the whispers between cousins at family parties, in the stern warnings from an abuela, and in the lullabies sung to children. How many of us were told to be careful by the irrigation ditch? How many of us booked it inside as the sun went down with the name of how many of us booked it inside as the sun went down with the name of El Cucuy or La Llorona hanging in the air? Passing these stories down does more than just scare us. It strengthens the family and community bonds. When an elder tells a story, they're passing down cultural DNA. They're teaching history, morality, and identity all at once. For many of us living in a world that often pushes for assimilation, these stories are a powerful link to our roots that remind us that we're part of something bigger, a community that shares the same foundational myths, and these legends are still evolving. In recent years, Chicana writers and artists have been reclaiming these figures, especially La Llorona. They're flipping the script on the old patriarchal view of her as a monster punished for her passions. In their retellings, she's become a symbol of resistance, a woman fighting back against oppression, and a society that wants her to be silent. Her cry is no longer just about grief, but about rage. This evolution proves that folklore isn't set in stone. It's a living conversation each generation has with its past. As we retell the stories to reflect our changing values from rural Mexico to cities across the United States, these figures are still with us. They show up in movies, music, and art. La Llorona is now a global icon, a horror icon. But for those of us who grew up with them, they're more than just pop culture. They're a part of us. They are the guardians of our childhood and the complicated symbols of our heritage. They prove that a story told with heart and passed down with love is one of the most powerful forces in the world. So, from La Llorona's cry to El Cucuy's shadow, these figures are so much more than monsters. They're the guardians of our values, the enforcers of our family rules, and the keepers of our complicated history. They teach us what to fear, how to behave, and who we are. They are not just stories that are cultural DNA. They're not just stories, they're our cultural DNA. Now, I want to hear from you. What folklore did you grow up with? And what role do you think it was meant to teach? Was there a local monster in your town or a specific story your family told to keep you out of trouble? Let me know in the comments below. I'm always fascinated by the different ways these stories take shape. And if you enjoy digging into the deeper meaning behind our traditions, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications We have a lot more to decode. Thank you for watching. And before I leave, I always tell y'all, I grew up with La Mano Peluda, the hairy hand. That was the story I was told to stay in bed, not to go out at night, right? So I guess I'll see y'all later, guys. Stay spooky.